episode 23 of the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. My name is Ali and I live in Kent in the UK with my husband and my 2 young daughters, and this is my channel, my place on the interwebs to talk about knitting and crochet and yarn and all the good stuff. Welcome. It has been 2 months almost to the day since I last filmed a proper sit down podcast, so this all feels, I feel a little bit rusty and a little bit overwhelmed because I have so much to talk about. You can find me, by the way, on Instagram and on Ravelry as Starry Eyes Ali, and if you follow me on Instagram, where I am most active, you will know that I've had a bit of a crazy couple of months, not least because we decided to decorate our kitchen, hence lovely brick wallpaper behind me now, in the week before my daughter's 7th birthday. So, because that's a really good idea, isn't it? So I've had that to contend with, plus we've been getting ready for my dad's turning 70, my dad's 70th birthday, and I did Vlogtober as well, so it's not like I've not been around or anything like that. I mean, I did film a vlog every day throughout the month of October, so I think if I'd filmed a podcast as well, that might have finished you all off to have to put up with that as well as on a daily basis. Yeah, so, and I've also been out and about to a yarn festival. I went to Festiwool, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. And I've got just heaps and heaps of things to talk about and things to share with you. And it was getting more and more overwhelming. And I was getting to the point where I was like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know where to start. So I've made some very rough notes and I've surrounded myself in everything. And I think the best thing to do is we're just gonna get stuck into it. Okay, and it might be quite long. We'll see, but if it's quite long, yeah, you can just treat it as 2 episodes in one. You can watch half and then watch the rest tomorrow or another day. So bear with me. We're going to talk about finished objects, of which I have 4 made things and 1 dyed thing. Works in progress, which are endless. Incoming, also slightly endless. I'm going to talk about the Strictly sock along, which we've got going on, but I'll talk about that a bit later on when I talk about my own Strictly socks. And yeah, I'm not very organised with that because it was an accidental cow. I didn't mean to start it, but I'm having a lot of fun now that it has started, so there's more information on that later. And yeah, and then I've got a bit of a Festiwool vlog that I filmed, which I shall put in either towards the end or at some point throughout. And as usual, all of my show notes and timestamps for every section of this podcast will be down below underneath, so if you want to skip to any particular part, you can. Right, let's get started. Just have a sip of tea. I know that everybody says that on podcasts, but my mouth's already dry just from talking. It was Phoebe's 7th birthday yesterday. Well, it wasn't her birthday. Her birthday's at the end of the month. But because of my dad's 70th, we had to have her party a bit early. So I did a lot of talking yesterday and we had a bit to drink after the party. So I may be slightly weary from all the events of yesterday. But it was fun. It was a unicorn party. So everything was unicorn mad. I've still got some bunting. I'll see if I can show you. Don't know if you can still. Unicorn bunting. I'm going to regret that, aren't I? Because now I'm not going to be straight. It takes me ages to set this up. Okay? Okay, let's start with finished objects. So, since I last spoke to you, I've obviously had quite a bit of time to finish some things. Let's start with some socks. No, let's not start with socks. What am I talking about? Let's talk about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my finished, I'm going to try and stand up and show you, my finished Picking Flowers sweater. I made this for the back to school sweater cow. It is a crocheted sweater, or jumper as we call it here in the UK. It's a pattern by Christina Hadderingh, who is a spoonful of yarn on Instagram and various social medias, and this is a crochet sweater pattern, and I made it using Drops Flora yarn, and I think I used a 3mm hook. I'm going to stand up and show you. So I don't know what you can see. You can probably just see yellow. I've got a little vest on underneath. Stand on tippy toes so you can just about see the hem here. Yeah, it fits really well. It's a good length. I'll just sit down. It's a good length, but that unfortunately means it's quite difficult to show you all the way down. I don't like my jumpers to be too short, so, and it sits sort of just above the middle of my bum. And then it's got this lovely arm detail. I didn't think this through. I should have filmed a little thing before, but I don't know if you, yeah. So you can see they've got this arm detail that goes down like that, and it's got lovely 3/4 length sleeves. And I really like wearing my jumpers with 3/4 length sleeves. Yeah. So, and I did the I didn't do the full collar. Yeah, that's the right word, isn't it? There should have been another row, but I really do like my necks to be quite wide, so this is perfect for me. I like to have a nice wide, almost sort of ballet neck. So yeah, very pleased. I was knitting. I was crocheting this all the way through my Vlogtober videos. So if you've been watching those, you probably would have seen me stressing out about the fact that at one point around here, when I started to work in the round, I got confused and I started to work the wrong way round. So I was working what should have been the right side. I was working the wrong side, if that makes sense. But since I blocked it, you can't tell at all, because it's just rounds and rounds of single crochet stitch, which is double crochet stitch in US terms. No, sorry, that's double crochet stitch in UK terms, single crochet stitch in US terms, which is what I use. I tend to prefer using US terms. It makes more logical sense to me. And chains. So when it was blocked, didn't really make much difference. So I'm very happy with this, and I wore it to Festiwool. I was a bit worried about wearing it, which I might allude to in my vlog later on, but yeah, I did worry that I stuck out a bit like a giant yellow lemon, but no, I like it. It's really nice, and I love wearing yellow, and I'd like to knit and crochet more things in yellow because I do love it. So that's my first finished object, and if I've got any better pictures, I will put them around the screen to give you an idea of what it looks like without me just, you know, shoving my stomach at the camera. So that's my first finished object. And speaking of Festiwool, I will move on to my other finished object, which was barely even a work in progress, I think, last time I spoke to you, and that is my Festiwool bag. So Festiwool, I should probably have mentioned before this point, is a yarn festival, a one-day yarn festival here in the UK. It's held at a secondary school in Hitchin in Hertfordshire. It's about an hour and 20 minutes drive from where we are in Kent. So my mum and I went, and my sister came down from Birmingham. It took her slightly longer because she got stuck in traffic, and we all met there and spent the day there. And when we bought the tickets, we were given a code for Ravelry to get a free download for 2 different patterns, a knitted bag and a crochet bag, both of which are absolutely lovely. The knitted one, sorry, very rude, I just really need a cup of tea right now. The knitted one was by Woolly Chick. And I would really like to make that bag, but I didn't have time to do that and the crochet one, and I really wanted to make the crochet one just because that's my comfort zone and my, you know, my favourite craft to do. So I made the crocheted bag, which was the Starflower bag, which is a pattern by Sam of Betsy Makes, and I've just noticed my little star flowers need a bit of a press. But so I just use yarn that I happen to have. Well, because I got all stressed out trying to faff about choosing which yarn to buy, and then I worked out I had the perfect kind of cotton linen yarn. No, this is Cotton Rich Aran by Cedar. I don't know what the blend is. I think it might be some acrylic and some cotton, but I really like it. It's really good for amigurumi as well. So, and I striped mine, and then you do the little stars, but I did an extra one for the back as well, seeing as I used 3 colours. And then in the pattern, it has bag handles which you then attach. But I wear my bags, I like to have a crossbody bag. So what I did was I added some little D rings. Oh, see, I'm out of practice now. Let's see if I can get it to focus. I added some little D rings by just crocheting them and sewing them on with the little clip, which just swivels like that. And then I sewed just a bit of scrappy old, I don't know, herringbone cotton tape that I had. I will change this handle for something a bit better, but I was running out of time. So I sewed, it wasn't the right colour either, and I just put it in a bowl and bleached it with kitchen bleach. But it seemed to work, and it did the job on the day. And I made a little strap like that, and it's going to be easily changed. Oh, and it's still got my little poppy on it, because when we went to Festiwool, it was Remembrance Day. It was the 11th of November. So I had my poppy, that's the front, and of course I lined it. Am I in focus? I don't know. I lined it with yellow, because gotta have some yellow. So that's my Festiwool bag. I'm just going to check that I'm in focus. Sorry if I haven't been. Yeah, really pleased with that, and it was really, really handy on the day. I actually used it as my handbag, so I had my purse in here and my tissues and my car keys and my phone and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a really, really handy bag, and I actually am going to use this quite frequently, I think, and I might make another one. I might make some as gifts as well. The hardest part was doing the lining, really, but that's only because I'm not very, experienced at sewing. And I'm really pleased with the strap that I did. I just want to get a bit of a nicer one, something that's not quite so scrubby. Am I in focus? Yeah, I was in focus. I think it's just my eyes that aren't in focus. My poor aging eyes. Right, so yeah, bag. Festiwool bag, very happy. Picking Flowers sweater, very happy. And that theme of being very happy continues, because I finished my mother-in-law's purple socks. I don't think these were finished last time we spoke. These are just made with, can't remember the name of the brand of the yarn. I know they're called Berry Dreams. The colourway is called Berry Dreams, but the yarn, I don't have my sock notebook. If you've watched my podcast before, you will know I seem to have a habit of talking about socks, and I write everything about my socks down in a sock notebook, and then I never bring it with me when I'm filming the podcast, and then I don't know all the details. I can tell you I knitted them on 2.25mm needles, concurrently 9-inch short circulars, and that the yarn is called Berry Dreams, but I can't remember the name of the brand. So I'll just put it on the screen when I'm editing. Give myself a bit of extra work to do later. And this is them, and there are 2. Ta-da! And these are for my mother-in-law for Christmas. I've measured her feet and everything using the method that the Sockmatician's Toe Up Socks recipe recommends. And I didn't do any contrast, I just knitted and knitted and knitted until I got a bit bored, and then I did the rib. So she's going to be very pleased with those. I hope this is the first pair of knitted socks I've made my mother-in-law, and she did request that she could have some for Christmas, so I'm glad they're done. Just a nice pair of vanilla socks. And I think I just did the Sockmatician's Toe Up recipe for those. So it's just a normal heel following gusset increases, because I do tend to knit my socks toe up. And I really like this yarn actually. I think I've used it before in different colourways. Very simple, very fun to work with, and comes up really nice. And I've managed to get them to match really well. Hooray! Finished pair of socks. Brilliant. I need to get some more vanilla socks on the needles to have. I do have some socks, two pairs of socks currently on the needles, but yeah, I'll talk about those in a moment. My next finished object is my Chamomile Shawl. Now, I spoke about this last time when it was in progress. This was a mystery crochet along run by Lorraine Pugh of Lorraine Pugh Designs. Lorraine is taking a bit of a break from social media at the moment, but I'm still in touch with her, and she ran the crochet along so wonderfully. It was really lovely mystery crochet along. How many times can I say crochet along in the same portion of the podcast? And she's now released the pattern as an entire pattern, so you can go and buy it. But when you were doing each week, when you got each clue, you got the clue for the shawl, but at the same time you had some positive life advice. It was to encourage you to take steps to, you know, make positive enhancements to your life. I'm not explaining this very well. I'm not sure if those things will be in the finished pattern. I'm assuming they will be in the full pattern that you can now buy, and I can't recommend it highly enough. Honestly, it was brilliant. Lorraine, if you come back and do another one of these mystery cows, I will be first in the queue. I haven't cut all my ends off, but this is my finished chamomile shawl. It was designed to use one main colour, and then you had 3 different minis that you needed as contrast, and there was 2 different ways you could make it. So there was team A and team B, and I was team B, and team A was a more geometric type pattern, but I had a more traditional. It's going to be really hard to show you, but look at that edging. Now the pattern is glorious. It has been blocked, but I think it might have sprung back a bit where I've had it, well, where I've been using it. I haven't got this the right way around. Let me just check I'm showing you the right side. Yeah. Let's see if I can get this to show up against my hand. Look at how pretty it is. And that rainbow yarn you can see is a colourway. I think it was a one-off colourway by Little French Meadow. It was in one of their mini skiing clubs. It was called Easter Bonnet. And I think I was talking to Yola at Festiwool. Oh, my camera's going to do this thing now where it doesn't focus automatically, and I'm going to have to do it myself. First world problems. I have to focus my own face in my podcast. Yeah, I was talking to Yola at Festiwool about how much I love this Easter Bonnet colourway, and she said it was just one of those, you know, one-off colours that they did, and I don't know if she'll be able to repeat it. So I was like, oh, I love it. I've only got like this amount left, so I'm going to put that in my Crochet Memories blanket that I'm doing, which I'm not going to talk about today, but I'll talk about another time. I might work on my Crochet Memories over Christmas. Yeah, so, and it's a very traditional shape, this shawl. It's kind of designed to gather a bit at the end, and it's really nice to wear just wrapped around like that. And this is a really indulgent shawl because the colours and the, oh, I don't know, just the way it's worn, it's a really sort of indoors indulgent, oh, I'm just going to sit watching telly in my lovely chamomile shawl. And it's got lovely memories attached to it as well, because the main yarn, the purple, is a Yarn Café Creations yarn that I won in a knit along that Lily of Nordic Stitches was running. And Lily's my new sort of knitty online friend. Not that new actually, we've known each other for a while now. So, you know, so that's really special. And the Little French Meadow yarn is equally special for the same reason, because Yola and Alison, who are Little French Meadow, have been really supportive of me doing the podcast, and really friendly on Instagram, and really friendly when I've met them at yarn shows, and they managed to find some extra of this Easter Bonnet colourway for me when I needed it, and I was so grateful for that. The green I dyed myself, and it was one of the first yarns I ever tried dyeing, and the yellow was a mini, an unidentified Norah George mini that was sent to me by, I think it was Jojo Mama Bear, when I sent her a book or something, just because I had no need for it, and she sent me some yarn as a thank you. So this is just full of friendship and good things, this shawl. And I'm also very hot now because I'm wearing double wool. I'm going to take it off. But that's my finished chamomile shawl. And honestly, I can't recommend that pattern highly enough. Are my eyes out of focus or am I? I'm just going to spend this whole episode questioning my focus. Yeah, so that's another finished object. And my next finish, I did also finish a baby hat, which was a colour work project, which I shall put a little bit of a picture up on the screen to give you an idea. I didn't share much because it was a gift for a real life, in real life friend who does follow me on Instagram. And I didn't want her to see it because it was a baby hat. And then I forgot to take a picture of it once I blocked it, so that's rubbish, isn't it? I'm going to make the matching jumper to go with it, but I've decided not to stress myself too much about that. If the baby is born and the jumper's not ready, I will buy her something from Marks and Spencer's, and the jumper can be ready for after Christmas or any time. I don't have to wait for the birth or Christmas or birthdays or anything to give her the finished jumper. It can, as long as it arrives while it's still cold, and even if not, she can have it next winter. So I'm not going to stress out too much about that. I've got the yarn, I've done the swatch, I'm good to go, but I've got other stuff I want to do first. So yes, there's that, and finally I dyed some yarn. And again, if you've followed my Vlogtober, if you followed my Vlogtober, you would have seen that we had some very strange weather in October here in the UK. Storm Ophelia, which hit the British Isles, I think on the west coast or along the coast of Ireland, I think. That might be completely wrong. Also, my geography is terrible. Caused all manner of problems and swept in sand from the desert somewhere, and it turned the skies this weird pink dust sand orange colour, and it was like an eclipse. It was like the light you get when you have a solar eclipse, which I've only ever seen twice in my life, that I can remember. And then I was dyeing some yarn. I wanted to get a really light pink, and I had this yarn that was a bamboo blend, and I dyed it pink and I really liked it, and then I dipped part of it in with some grey and over dyed it, and I really liked how that came out, and I decided to over dye the whole scheme. And then when it came out, it was kind of this stormy, kind of the light you kind of get when it's kind of after or before a thunderstorm, but it's still sunny, and it just reminded me of stormy weather. So I've called the colour Ophelia, and I did manage to recreate it as well, with another skein of yarn that didn't have bamboo in it. So this is the bamboo one. And then the other skein of yarn that I dyed, which was the same but without bamboo, I divided up and I've given it out as little gifts to some people. So, but this is the original one. So this is my, what I've called Ophelia colour, and it is a pink over dyed with grey. I know very little about yarn dyeing, and every time I have a go at it, I learn a little bit more. I think half the time I am actually in focus. I'm going to stop talking about it. Yeah, I learn a bit more every time I do it. I'd love to be able to layer colours more. I do get worried that it would just turn muddy, and I think the only way to learn is to experiment, and it is quite, but you know, you have to buy the yarn, and I don't always have the money to buy loads and loads of yarn to play with. So yeah, so I've got another skein of this, or no, I've got another skein of the non-bamboo one to play with. Yeah, so that's my other finished object. That's my final finished object. We can move on to works in progress. Oh goodness me, works in progress. I'm not going to go through them all. There's two specifically I'm not going to show you. My Crazy Memories squares, which I'll save for next time, and my fox's head that I'm making my sister, because I would actually quite like to get that fox's head finished and show it to you when it's complete. So we're not going to be talking about those. Instead, we're going to talk about everything else. And there's a lot, and I don't even know where to begin. So let's have a look. Okay, first of all, right, let's start with the thing I've least worked on, working upwards. So, whoop, just threw a pen across the table. This is Zumagurumi 6, and this book was sent to me by Meteor Books, who produce these Zumagurumi series, to review earlier this year. And my kids went through this with a fine-tooth comb and decided which of all the patterns, well, apparently I'm going to make all the patterns. They just decided who each pattern was going to be for. And the one that Phoebe really wanted, and they always choose a mummy-made thing for their birthdays, was Anita the cow. So I have got all the yarn I need for Anita the cow. This is the little postcard they sent me. How cute is that? So I've got it all living in my Tropical Birds bag, which is one of my own made dodgy bags. And so far I have made the head. And I've actually, usually when I make amigurumi, I use an Aran weight yarn, even though the pattern calls for a 4-ply or a fingering weight yarn. But this time I am actually using the right weight, which means it's coming out really dinky. It's so cute. This is going to be Anita's head, and this is going to be her inner ears. Well, that's obviously not how it's going to look, but what I'm trying to show you is that I have made her head and her inner ears, which I've now just dropped. So that's as far as I've got, but that didn't take me very long at all. So I'm quite confident that that's going to be finished by next Thursday. Today's Monday, the 20th, and her birthday is the 30th of November. Yeah, I think that's going to be what I'm working on all week this week. The problem is I can't work on it until she's in bed, and she's in bed by sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm sort of tired by then. But if I do an hour every night this week, I reckon I'll get that finished. So that's Anita the cow. So not much done on that, but at least it's started. Then I've got some mittens. I talked about these last time, but I hadn't started them. And I think I was showing you the yarn during the Vlogtober vlogs. Oh, I'm all tangled. Hang on. So Hannah, who is Hannah from Sheep's Alley here on YouTube, and I did a swap of yarn and other bits and bobs, and as part of that swap she bought some, Hannah's in Finland, and she bought some Finnish yarn which I absolutely love, called Festiwool. I'll get a little see if I've got a little tag to show you. So this is the Festiwool tag. That's their tag that they have. It's 100% Finnish yarn. It's 100% Finnish yarn, Finnish wool, and 20% nylon, because this is the sock one. And she selected 4 colours, 100-gram skeins of. Why can't I talk? Hannah selected 4 skeins of Festiwool. She then divided those skeins into 2 and kept half, and I got the other half. And we agreed that we would both make mitts with them starting on the 1st of November. Now, Hannah is a very prolific knitter. She's very quick and she really knows what she's doing. I'm much newer to knitting and not as confident and not as quick. But I'm doing quite well. Not only that, everybody, but I'm not using a pattern. No. Now, if this was crochet, that wouldn't be unusual. I could, probably, I quite frequently do make up little patterns, especially when it comes to Sheldon, the lobster. He's starting to have his own wardrobe, and I just make that up as I go along. I'm quite comfortable doing that with crochet, but with knitting, no, it all seems too much of a mystery. But I remembered I test knitted some mittens for another Hannah, except a Hannah in Australia, who is Rose Hit. Oh, I always get this wrong. I'm so sorry, Hannah. I'm going to put the name of her podcast up on the screen. I've test knitted some mittens for her, and it had a broken rib wrist. The cuff of the mittens was broken rib. And I thought I remembered in my head how that was done. but clearly not, because the way I did it didn't come out the way that Hannah's looked, and I had in my mind that that broken rib would look really nice as a full mitten. So I just made up a random kind of ribbed pattern. So it's kind of, you do knit one, purl one on one row, and then you knit the next row. It's probably a stitch. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. And I'm not doing any, I just kept it all one here, so there's no increases or decreases around the wrist. And then I start to increase for the thumb, which I've got some waste yarn there just holding it whilst I finish. These aren't going to be closed mittens, they're going to be fingerless. And this is where I'm at. So that's how the little pattern's looking, where I'm doing, so I'm doing knit one row and then knit one, purl one on the other rows. I'm weaving my ends in as I go, using the technique that I picked up from Emma of Eldenwood Craft and Ellie of Craft House Magic when I knit the striped mittens according to Badagak. And actually the striped mittens according to Badagak pattern is what I referred to when I came to do the increases for the thumb. I referred to my notes on that pattern that I used when I made those mittens, in that, because I think those mittens recommended you casted on something like 64 stitches, which made them massive, and I actually cast on 52 and then worked out the right time to stop the increases and everything like that. So I used my notes relating to that pattern for the thumb increases. So that pattern, that striped mittens according to Badagak, I think is a very good basic go-to vanilla mitten pattern, which I shall use again if I want to modify and, you know, not modify, customize my mittens and personalize them. So yeah, that's my first one. Knitting it magic loop. I was going to do them two at a time magic loop, but the idea of that and making up the pattern and not really knowing what I was doing confused me, so I just kept going. And I've nearly finished this one, and then I'll start the next one, and I think Hannah's finished hers already. But this yarn, I can't even tell you, I love taku wool. It's really rustic and kind of sturdy feeling. If I take my watch off, I can show you. Show you what it looks. I've also made a bit of a mistake down here. I dropped a stitch early on and didn't notice, so I've actually got two columns of knit stitches next to each other. I don't think anyone's going to be looking at my wrists going, oh my god, is that two columns of knit stitches on your mittens? No, they're not going to. So these are going to be super cool. And I kept them quite short because my winter coat has got elasticated sleeves. So I do have a problem getting my gloves on with the elasticated sleeves if they're too long. How cool are they? And the colours. So pleased. Yeah, really looking forward to doing those. And of course, I am keeping these in my bag that Hannah made me. It's not the only project in here. I've got all the wool for my I Heart Rainbows sweater, the baby sweater, in here as well. So this is the bag that Hannah made me. She's so creative, honestly. I love this bag. I just look at it and it makes me feel happy. So that's my other finished object, which I just nearly threw on the floor. What else have we got? So working up my Strictly socks. Yay! Strictly! Ooh. Strictly! This is a bit battered. I'm not giving myself a 10 for podcasting. Okay, so living in my glorious Eldenwood Craft bag. I feel extremely jammy to have an Eldenwood Craft bag, which again I won in the knit along I was talking about for the striped mittens. I won this and some equally glorious yarn from Lay Family Yarns. Just check that's in bag. Look at that. She's so clever, that Emma at Eldenwood Craft. So that's my bag. And these are my socks. This is also Lay Family Yarns. lovely Kelly, who has now changed her name on Instagram to Lay Family Yarns, which means I think the last 3 podcasts I've gone, oh, what's her name on Instagram? It's Kelly15797. I couldn't remember. Now it's Lay Family Yarns. So she is Lay Family Yarns on Instagram. Thank you, Kelly, for changing it. It makes my poor aging mind can cope much better. This is my socks. I've turned the heels on, well, I've done my Fish Lips Kiss heels on both of my socks, and this is Lay Family Yarns Salsa yarn, which she dyed specifically to relate to Strictly Come Dancing, and it is inspired by the salsa that Mark Ramprakash and Karen Hardy did way back when. I've got some fantastic stitch markers, so this extra sparkly one. Here we go with the focus. That extra sparkly one was from Crafty Cat Knitty Bits, and this glitter ball one is from Lolly Ball, Lorraine on Instagram, whose Instagram name I will put up on the screen. So these are proper, and the yarn, I don't know if you can see, is sparkly. And the toes, it was a sock set that she sent. The toes, the colourway is called Glitter Ball. And all of her Strictly sock sets that she has done come with the Glitter Ball colour as the contrast for heels, toes. And I'm going to have enough for cuffs too, which is brilliant. And she also sent me 2 other Strictly colourways. And she said I could keep the other one and give the other one away as a prize. And I haven't got them with me to show. I should probably get them to show you, shouldn't I? Because that's fun. We like looking at yarn. I'm going to finish talking about my socks, then I'm going to go and get the yarn. So I've done my Fish Lips Kiss heels on both of my socks. So now it is plain sailing all the way. Oh God, why do they look different? Please don't tell me I've done them differently. I counted very carefully. No, they're the same. Thank goodness for that. I thought they looked different, but they are the same. Yeah, so last time I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel was on my watermelon socks that I made in the summer. But I made my watermelon socks with 2mm needles, which I did enjoy, and I did them 64 stitches on 2mm needles because I think I might be quite a loose knitter, and normally I knit my socks with 56 stitches. And I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and they fit. They are my favourite socks to wear. They fit perfectly, but they are quite hard to get on and off because although they fit me perfectly, getting them on, you know, where you have to get the cuff of the sock over the widest part between the top of your foot and the heel. I do struggle with that, especially when my feet are warm at the end of the day and I'm taking them off. The other day I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to live in my watermelon socks forever. I can't get them off. So I thought I'd go up a needle size, stick with my 56 stitches and do a Fish Lips Kiss heel and see if they fit just as well. And I decided to try some new needles. So I'm knitting these concurrently on short circular 9-inch short circular needles, and I got one pair to try initially of Chargu needles. I hope I've said that right, because I've heard people talk about these a lot. And at first when I started, and also these come in the 9-inch, which is 25 centimetres. Sorry, 23 centimetres, which is that little bit shorter than the 30 centimetres that I've previously been using. And I do that because I knit 56 stitches. Am I rambling? Let's just move on. I ordered the needles to give them a try, and at first I didn't like them. They felt really slippery and really weird. But the more I knit with them, and I guess they warmed up or whatever initial stuff they had on them wore off, I don't know. The more I knit with them, the more I like them. And these are about £9 a pair, the cheapest I can find, well, £8 something. So I then waited until the next payday and I ordered myself, I don't know why I'm showing you the packets, but I ordered myself another set. So I've now got 2 sets of those 9-inch Chargu short circular needles, and I'm knitting them concurrently on those. Oh, and the pattern, by the way, this lovely pattern that you can see down here is the Spellbound Socks pattern by Naomi, who is Cozy Cute Knits. She sent it to me. She said, oh, I've got the perfect pattern for that yarn and your socks that you're doing. And she was right, it's absolutely brilliant. It's like knitting a vanilla sock, but every now and then, every 4 rows, you've got a little bit of something interesting to do. And I'm loving how it's looking. It's really, really nice. And then the pattern will continue around the leg, and that's going to look lovely too. So the only thing about knitting with short circular needles is you can't try them on as you go along, unless obviously you take them off, which I might do. I might put them on some dental floss and try them on to see how they're looking. Yes, so now I'm all tangled up. So this is just one endless glorious project. Beautiful pattern, beautiful yarn, beautiful bag, beautiful stitch markers, and it's just all about Strictly and sitting down with my family and having a cup of tea or a glass of wine and just spending time together. And obviously all being ballroom experts, because when you're watching Strictly, you all become ballroom experts, don't you? And you have like really detailed opinions on people's dancing all of a sudden. So yeah, that's my Strictly socks, and I'm just going to go and grab that Lay Family yarn just to show you the other Strictly sets, that one of which will be up for grabs in the Strictly sock along. Right, so they're still in the packets, so I'm going to try and show you these without too much tweaking. This is, oh, that's not what I want. So she sent me two. One is called Samba, sorry about the crinkly, and the other one is Argentine Tango. So this is Samba. I'm going to try and show you. So that's the Samba one, and it's got its glitter ball mini. Absolutely beautiful colours. I really like this one. It's quite difficult to show you properly because of the light reflecting off the packet. And then this one is, that's her card, by the way, Lay Family on, and this one's Argentine Tango, which is also utterly beautiful. So my choice is almost impossible. I don't know how to choose between the two. And I'm almost tempted to let the winner choose which one they want, and that will make the decision for me. Maybe. I don't know. So those are the two, one of which will be up for grabs as a prize. I've also got a couple of dodgy bags that I make, which will be a prize, but they're all cut out just over there. And I haven't sewn them together yet. And I've got, oh, the pattern. I had a pattern from the Follow the Butterflies shawl pattern from Naomi at Cozy Cute Knits. I drew for that during my October vlogs, and it was Lily from Nordic Stitches. It was that was on Halloween. That was so funny. I couldn't believe it when her number came up. I did a random number generator live on the vlog. So she's won that pattern, and I've got a couple of other little bits as well, because what I would like to do is give a prize. If you've got a pair of socks finished in the finished objects thread, that means you have made it to Blackpool, and I am going to be drawing a winner from everyone with finished objects in that thread by midnight on the day that this podcast goes live. So I'm going to just write that down now. To do. Okay. Done. That's in my book. So I will draw a winner from that, and I will announce that in the group and on the next podcast and various other places. And the prize for that will probably be a dodgy bag. And I've got some more of those lovely stitch markers that I showed you on my own socks, the sparkly one and the disco ball. So I will pop some of those in as well. And then I also would like to draw a prize for another bit of cunning, because you know we have been encouraging rule bending in this make along. So I would like to draw another prize for rule bending, and I've got a couple of things in mind for that. I'm not very organised, am I? Everyone's always like, oh, I've got this and this and that, and I'm like, oh, I've got a few bits. I might just give them. So I need to get myself in order, basically, because I would like to draw a prize for exceptional rule bending, and then I might do a 10 from Len prize in honour of Len Goodman, just on the pair of socks right at the end of the cowl that I think just deserves a 10 from Len, and that might be a dodgy bag as well. And then the overall winner I will draw just from the FO thread at the end of Strictly, probably New Year's Day or something, because Strictly finishes just before Christmas. A lot of people will be watching it on catch up, and there's the Christmas Day show as well, so I guess you could still be knitting during that if you've got, you know, some last minute bit of Kitchener stitch to do or something. Officially you need to finish them, you need to cast them off during the final. Yeah, and they'll get the Lay family yarn. So I'll get myself a bit more organised, because I'm going to film another podcast before Christmas, a kind of Christmas special. And what I'll do is I'll have all the prizes lined up and ready. Shall I write that down as well? Prizes ready for Christmas special. Excellent, we're getting organised. So moving on, because we've done a little bit of works in progress, and now we've talked about the Strictly sock along as well. By the way, I hope you're all enjoying it, and I'm sorry I have not been around in the chatter thread as much as I was at the beginning. It's just life getting in the way, and hopefully with Phoebe's birthday coming up and out the way, and my dad's birthday coming up and out the way, things might start to calm down a bit. I hope. Oh, that is it actually. I think that is all. Oh, no. What am I talking about? I've got 2 more works in progress. So, Phoebe. My 6, almost 7-year-old Phoebe will only wear odd socks. I have no idea why. She's very much her own person. She knows what she likes, she knows what she doesn't like, and that's that. And she will only wear odd socks. That's how she likes it. So, and she's also asked me, I made her a pair of socks earlier this year, and she wears them all the time. She absolutely loves them. And she wants another pair because she says her feet are growing and they're getting a bit snug. Oh, bless her. So I'm making her a slightly bigger pair, and I'm making them odd. I have some of that purple Berry Dreams yarn left for making my mother-in-law's socks. And I've got some lovely minis from my Little French Meadow mini scheme club. So I gathered up some minis, and I got the remainder of that yarn from my mother-in-law's socks, and I'm making her matching odd socks, if that makes sense. So they're going to have different heels, toes and cuffs, but the same body of the sock. So this is where we've got to so far. They've both got toes, and I'm getting to the point of needing to make the gusset increases soon. So I just need to stop and take some measurements from her. Again, I'm using the Sockmatician's Tote Up Socks recipe, which is such a good set of instructions for tailoring socks, no matter what the yarn needle size or foot size. And the other minis that I've got for this, so these are the 3 contrasting ones I've got. They're all Little French Meadow from their mini skein club. I've got red, yellow and silver, and each sock will be therefore different. 2 at a time, magic loop, 2.25mm, and they're looking so cool already. I'd like to have those finished ready for Christmas Eve. If I can just get through the gusset and the heel in the next week or 2, there's no reason why that won't happen. That's living in my little pouch that my friend Erica gave me. I think it's supposed to be a wash bag, but to me it's a sock bag. And finally, and this is going to bring me on a little bit to Festiwool and incoming stuff as well. Right, my Picking Flowers sweater usually lives in this bag. This is one of my Hannah bags, which is a crocheted little crocheted basket made, got a needle sticking out, made using several strands of yarn held together. And I made this because this Hannah from Sheep's Alley podcast makes these kind of bags, and I really like them. So I was inspired by her to make one, and therefore they are called Hannah bags. I took with me to Festiwool the start of my So Faded sweater, which I've spoken about before, and I'm now in a big mad tangle. So I've taken this off the needles because I had wanted to just try it on to check I was going along the right lines. I've never knit a garment before, so this is all a first for me, and it's quite a good simple pattern to start with. I have made a slight mistake on the garter stitch shoulders, but I've worked out how to sort of, I'm going to just frog back that section and mend that. So I have to do that So it's kind of on pause because obviously that takes a bit of thinking and a bit of concentration, and you need to carve out time if you're going to sit and do something like that. So that's another reason why this is not been worked on. But also my original plan, so this is the yarn I have picked out for my So Faded sweater. This is called Mazikeen. It is a colourway by Third Vault Yarns, and she dyes yarns inspired by sort of sci-fi type things. I don't know if I've got her card here, but I do have her card elsewhere. And I was originally going to fade this into a solid colour, which was the grey, which would have created less of a fade and more of a stripe. But as much as I love this yarn, and my Picking Flowers sweater is made with this Drops Flora, and I was worried it was going to be itchy, and it's not at all. It's very comfortable. I just didn't like the idea of it striping, and then I couldn't work out where the best position to start the stripe would be, sort of above the bust, below the bust, and I was just getting a bit stressed about it. So I thought, right, I'm going to Festiwool. I knew Third Vault Yarns were going to be at Festiwool. Lovely Lola is the dyer behind Third Vault Yarns. I originally bought this, and I think I've got the same base for the other skein that I bought, which is Companion 4-Play. It's 100% superwash merino, so it's super, super soft. And the colourway Mazikeen, she's dyed again, but it's a different dye lot. There's the details. So I thought, great, I'm going to buy more Mazikeen. Maybe I can just have more Mazikeen in my sweater. But as it's a different dye lot, it's a richer dye. So this is the original one I bought a year ago, or over a year ago. And this is the more recent dye lot, which you can see it's the same arrangement, but you can see how it's evolved or changed, or, you know, and the dye lot is different. So this is a lighter Mazikeen, and this is a richer Mazikeen. So I thought, well, that's perfect. I'm going to have the perfect fade. It's going to fade beautifully from a lighter Mazikeen colour into a richer Mazikeen colour. Perfect. And then she had this in her sort of sail bucket. It's a different base. It's her Librarian sock base, which is a blue. So this is 100% superwash merino, and this is blue face Leicester with nylon. So it's going to drape differently, but I'm not going to use as much of this. This is going to be almost right at the end. So now that's my fade. It's a very, very subtle light Mazikeen, richer Mazikeen, bronze. So happy, and I love her yarn, and I love these colours, and yeah, I'm really, really happy that I managed to get that. I'm making the medium size, and with this I'm making it 3/4 length sleeves again, because that's how I like it. So I should have just about the right amount. So that worked out well. I can now return it to my Hannah bag, and I might have to sort it out a bit because I no longer need the Drops Flora in there. So thank you, Lola. Sorry I pounced on you at Festiwool, for your help and for your lovely yarn. Right, shall we have a little break? Why don't I'm going to move on to incoming, but before I do, why don't I show you the vlog that I took at Festiwool. So I put together a little vlog of things that I saw at Festiwool. I'm not quite sure how good it's going to be because I haven't edited it yet, and I can't remember how much I filmed, but I will say that it was such a good day. My mum and my sister and I really enjoyed ourselves, and I got to meet some people that I know online, which was so amazing. As I was coming in the door, I had a tap on the shoulder, and I turned around and there was Sandra, Cherry Heart, and Sam, Betsy Makes, and they were like, hello! I lost my place in the queue and everything. I had to then push in to get officially in with my ticket, because I just got so distracted and excited. And I think I might have just started stroking people because they were all wearing lovely yarny things. I think I was just going, oh, look, look, oh. You know, that's what happens, isn't it, in a yarny environment when everyone's wearing yarny things. You just kind of go up and start stroking them. Or is that just me? So yeah, it was really nice to meet Sandra and Sam. So then I bumped into Sarah, who is Yarn Mugs on Instagram. So I knew she was going to be there, and I knew what she looked like because I remember she shared a sort of rare picture of herself on her feed, and I saw her and I just recognised her immediately. It was really weird. I'm terrible with faces and names and things. So, but I recognised her immediately. And then another lady spoke to me as I was going round. I'll put her Instagram name up on the screen, Topsy something. And she was really, really lovely. And we chatted for a moment as we were looking at, I think I was about to convince my mum to buy me some mitten blockers for Christmas. She asked for ideas. And then I met later on, I met in the queue for cake without realising. I met Sarah, who is Anna Boo's house, but I didn't know it was her at the time, despite the fact she said my sister had bought a chameleon kit at the Unique Yarns stall, which I shall talk about during incoming because I did buy stuff from them. And she bought the chameleon kit, and Sarah, who I didn't know was Sarah, in the queue said, I designed that kit. And I was saying to my sister, look, this is the designer of that kit. Not once did it occur to me, therefore, that was Sarah from Anna Boo's house. Idiot. And Chrissy Crafts was there as well, who I did recognise because obviously I watched her podcast. And who else? And then later on, Sam and Sandra hosted a kind of podcast meetup, like an opportunity to go along and say hello to them. So me and my mum and my sister went along to that, and we met a couple of other lovely ladies. Lou, who is Foxy Yarn, and Caroline, who is Let's Just Crochet. I hope I've got that right. I'll put it all on the screen. And they were both there, so I met them as well, and that was really, really lovely. It was funny. We did laugh a bit. We were saying because where the room was that they were all meeting was a classroom, but it was a classroom kind of quite a little way from where the stalls and that were, and it felt like it was quite a distance. And I can't remember who said, but they said it was a bit like being in detention. It was like we were in a detention room. But we had fun talking about yarn, and so some of them had their knitting and stuff with them, which I didn't bring with me. So it was really nice to meet everybody. And and of course I met Yola and Alison, who I have met before at last year's festival, but I didn't really know them then, or didn't really know them on Instagram or anything like that. So it was lovely to see them this time. And of course Sheldon came along with me, so he had fun posing like the poser he is, and he had his photo taken on the little French Meadow light box. And I also met who I had not heard of before, a few days before festival, when I noticed that she was going to be vending and followed her on Instagram, is I think she might be another Sarah, but I might be wrong. And she is Hailstone Heritage on Instagram, and she does all vintage sewing and knitting and crochet related things. So she had spotted Sheldon on Instagram and said, do make sure you bring him along to meet me, which I did. And she was very kind in helping him choose his stitch markers, which you will see now in the vlog, hopefully.
Mum's here and we're wearing our knitted thing. Well, she's wearing her knitted scarf and I'm wearing my crochet jumper. I have gloves. And you have gloves. And we're off to Festiwool. Yay! We've just arrived. My mum's gone to the loo, because that's what my mum does when we arrive at places. And we're early. It's about 9:30 because I can never be late. I'm always early for everything. So now I'm just sitting in the car eating a cereal bar. I'm waiting for my mum to come back, and then there's lots of bunting and lots of knitted things in the car park, so we're really excited and we can't wait to go and see everything. And I'm really nervous as well because I'm probably going to speak to people that I know from online, and that makes me nervous because I'm socially awkward. Don't film me when all I got was you running away. we're having... We're not all having satsumas.
Some of us are having salad.
Some of us had a penguin. Someone else is having a salad. So everyone else is having some of their 5 a day except for me. And we've had a bit of a spending frenzy, and now we're just making a decision about what to get next before we bail.
Recovering from the yarn fumes.
Enjoyed that little interval and that little insight into the festival. I'm going to move on to incoming now, and this may take a while. Go and get another hot drink because I got a few bits. I'm going to start with, seeing as we've just had a look at Festiwool, let's start with Festiwool, shall we? So I had a budget. I had saved up a little bit of money. It's a very expensive time of year with my dad's birthday and Phoebe's birthday and Christmas and everything coming up. And I had put aside some money and saved some things. And that was my budget. I did go slightly over when I discovered that Third Fault Yarns took cards. But then I didn't spend all the cash I had. So actually, in the end, I spent really what I'd budgeted for. So the first stop we made was to Willow Knits yarn. I didn't pick up their card, but I'm pretty sure it's Willow Knits yarn. And they specialise in, well, I don't know if they specialise in, but they certainly do a lot of hand-dyed silk yarn, and I think it's mostly worsted weight yarn. So I picked up some minis because what they do is they price it by the weight of the mini. And I did have a 4th, but that's gone. But I can't say where. Mysterious. So I picked up this lovely sort of, it reminded me of Quality Streets. This Quality Street colour, which is a foil wrapped tin of sweets we have in the UK, chocolates. At Christmas we tend to have them. So I picked up some minis of those, and that's in damson, caramel and aubergine colours, and I just thought they went really well together. And I don't know what I'm going to use 3 minis of worsted weight silk yarn, probably make a little decoration, like a Christmas decoration or something. Yeah, I just really liked them, and they're so soft, and the colours were so rich that I couldn't not buy them. So I bought those, and I also made a stop to, obviously I got my Third Fault yarn, which I've already showed you, so I got those 2 skeins. And then I got some sock yarn from Little French Meadow because I love Little French Meadow's yarn, and to be able to just go and see their full range and you know, choose something. I would have liked to buy more, but I really was on a tight budget, and I wish I had gone back and bought some more at the end of the day. I didn't realise until I got home that I had £20 left, so I could have bought another skein, even 2 of yarn. But I'm very pleased with what I did buy. So this is their La Vienne sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon and 5% gold stellina. And the colour is Hawthorn Blossom. It's so beautiful. They're so clever, those girls. And then the little mini I got from their selection, Alison helped me, was this kind of deep yellowy green. I just thought they looked so nice together. I think she said that the green in this mini is the same green as you can see in the flecks throughout the yarn. You can see how well that matches. So these are probably going to be socks, but the way I make my socks at the moment, I can get almost 2 pairs out of 100 grams because I knit I do knit them quite short. I don't knit them with a really long leg, and I do tend recently to use contrasting heels and toes. And when I made my watermelon socks in the summer, I had nearly half the yarn left. I think I had about 47 grams left, so I could make another pair. Yeah, so I do get my money's worth out of sock yarn. But yeah, that was my little French Meadow purchase. Very happy with that. And I stopped by, I've now got Sheldon, by the way. I went and got Sheldon. I stopped by Hellstone Heritage. This, and it is Sarah, I was right. That's her card. And this is her detail. So she does vintage haberdashery and celebrating crafting history. That's really good, isn't it? And she had a lovely store, and I bought Phoebe some vintage, not old, plastic knitting needles, because we all know my 7-year-old Phoebe really likes knitting, and she loves purple. So I got her some purple vintage knitting needles to go with her collection that she's building. And in Sheldon's Festiwool bag, because I had to make Sheldon his own Festiwool bag, which I quickly whipped up the night before because he was complaining he was left out. I've got his purchases. Now, he chose a beautiful yellow stitch marker because he does share my love of yellow, which is actually an upcycled stitch marker, and Sarah then gave him the second one because she's lovely. So this is Sheldon's yellow stitch markers. Let's put them on the knitting needle, and we'll see if we can get them to come out. These are Sheldon's upcycled vintage stitch markers in beautiful, beautiful yellow from Hellstone Heritage. So they fit perfectly into his Festiwool bag, and he was very pleased with those, weren't you, Sheldon? So some lovely stitch markers from Hellstone Heritage, and what else? That one. Then, rather randomly, we passed Spinspired, and they are their strapline is from sheep to shawl. So they do all kinds of fleece and spinning stuff and weaving stuff. It's a really interesting store, and they make the equipment, like the spindles and the tapestry frames and looms and things. They make them themselves. And we saw that they had a basket of drop spindles, and they were quite cheap. Me and my sister were because we both got these Mayan hand spinners, which we've both kind of been struggling with a little bit. Not struggling with, but not enjoying. And I'd seen Lily, Nordic Stitches, playing about with a drop spindle, and I've seen a couple of other podcasters doing it as well. I'm not that interested in spinning, but it does fascinate me. When I see people doing it, I want to know what it's like. I want to have a go myself. And these were really good value. I think they were £5 each. And my sister and I were arguing over who was going to pay for the two. We were both trying to pay for them, basically. We were saying, no, you paid for the cake. No, you did this. And the man said, look, I really can't be bothered getting my card machine out. So what about I just do two for, I can't remember what, but he gave us a bit of a bargain on them. And he said he makes them with off-cut. So if he has like leftover bits of wood or pieces of wood that he can fashion easily, he makes these little wooden drop spindles, and they've got a little stopper on the end for when they hit on the floor. And they're just a very basic drop spindle. And he gave us both a little bag of wool top go with it, so that we can have a little go with it. I don't know if my sister's tried it yet, but we've both got exactly the same, and we're both going to give it a whirl. This is their leaflet, Spinspired, and they're based in Suffolk, and they've got a website, spinspired.co.uk. They were really lovely. It's a good thing about going to these festivals. You get to meet the makers and talk to them and sort of get to know them and understand them a bit more. Then Unique Yarns. Now I went to Unique Yarns at the last festival, and I bought some yarn dyed with it's like crushed, is that the right word? Minerals. And I sent, because I saw it and I sent some to Lorraine, who's Lorraine Pugh Designs, because she's very, she's a very nature orientated person, and she likes things that are sustainable and things that are earth friendly. So the yarn was a very natural form, the dye they used was very natural. So I sent her a skein of that, and then I bought this yarn. And this yarn's quite special, and I wonder if I've got something about what that I can use to show you why it's special. Right. So this is the yarn that's included in the kit for the chameleon that my sister bought. And it is special because it is 100% merino wool, and it has been treated or dyed in some way that makes it change colour when it is exposed to daylight, UV light. So I have a UV torch, so hopefully I should be able to show you. So this is what it looks like when it's just in normal light or indoors. And if I use my UV torch, like that, and then, can you see? It has changed to purple, or sort of a purpley pink. It's magic yarn is what it is. It's magic. Can you see? There's the UV torch. The reason I have a UV torch is because we use it for making the glow in the dark stars in Phoebe's room. There it is, white, pink. Magic yarn. So I bought one, and then later on I went back and bought another, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hat. I'm going to make a hat each for the girls, and I'm going to stripe it with whatever colour they want. Probably Phoebe will choose purple, and Lilia will probably choose blue or pink. And I'm going to stripe it so when they're out in the daylight, the stripes using this yarn will change colour, because obviously your head is most exposed to the daylight. Magic yarn. Honestly, I was so excited by that. And the chameleon kit uses that yarn because obviously chameleons change colour. So that was very exciting. And that was it for my sort of yarny purchases. And then for some reason, I got talking to this woman who had a stall of things felted. Now, felting, not something that appeals to me. Felting, something I've crocheted or knitted and watching it change. Yes, very appealing, like that. But actually doing the wet felting and stuff, I don't know, it always looks like it might make my hands feel sore. It looks all a bit soapy. I don't know what I was thinking actually. Anyway, I ended up talking to her because she had these beautiful, really tactile little bowls. And she said, oh, there's the Society of, I can't remember what they were called. They would have been in the vlog, like the British Society of Felting. And we went and watched what they were doing, and they did a little demo of felting. And I said, oh, you know, I'd really like to make a bowl. And everyone sort of said, oh no, I wouldn't. If you're a beginner, don't start with felted, you know, start with something a lot more basic. You really got to get the feel of it, which is fair enough. That is true. You do have to, you know, start small. And I went back to the lady to sort of, she had these little tiny bags of stuff, little wool top for felting. I said, you know, I really want to start with making a bag. And she said, no, as a beginner, I wouldn't start with a bag. So I thought, but I want to make a bowl. I want to make a bowl. So I bought 3 colours. It's only cost me about £4. I got pink, and then I got a 2-tone pinky grey, which is a bit like my Ophelia colour. Why am I showing them to you in the little bags? So I got this this little pinky grey. If all else fails, I could just spin it, couldn't I? With my little new spinning thing. And then I've got the pink. It's a nice pink, that, isn't it? Bright pink. And then I've got a kind of 2-tone natural and grey. And I'm going to make a bowl. I'm going to get on to the University of YouTube. I'm going to find some tutorials. And I'm going to make a bowl. Even though that's exactly the opposite of what everyone told me I should try to do. But gonna make a bowl. So I don't know why I suddenly thought I wanted to try wet felting. I've never had any interest in that whatsoever. I just thought, oh, that just seems fun. So I've got the stuff to do it. When I'll do it, who knows? But I'm gonna make a bowl. I've said it, so I'm gonna. I have also had, what else? Oh, right, 2 gifts arrived. I'm not going to show you everything of this first gift. So, lovely Christina, who is Blooming Cactus on Instagram. I think she might be Blooming Cactus on. She doesn't have a podcast or anything, but she's followed this podcast and we follow each other on Instagram. And she's got 4 children. That's amazing, isn't it? I struggle with just 2. But her and her son, who's about the same age as Phoebe, had seen Phoebe loved purple and loved knitting, and they live in the desert. They live in Arizona, so they don't. They wanted to try some dyeing because they'd seen me and the girls dyeing on this podcast. So they did, but they've been dyeing cotton yarn because obviously, you know, that's a bit more suitable for the hot climate in which they live. And they dyed some yarn for Phoebe. They dyed her own colourway, and this huge box arrived. And I'm going to show you one, but there's another 6 of these in the box that they sent us. And the colourway, which I think your son came up with, Christina, but he certainly decorated the label. Look, it's got some lovely stickers on, and it's called Phoebe. Phoebe sparkles on a stormy day. And this is what the yarn looks like. Cool. Actually, this has been a very grey and purple pink sponsored podcast, hasn't it? This is another storm colour. Where's my one? Look, there's my stormy yarn on wool. And this is the Phoebe Sparkles Phoebe Sparkles on a Stormy Day yarn, which is on a cotton sparkly yarn. And like I say, we've got a lot of this. Phoebe hasn't yet decided what she wants to make with it. She doesn't know if she would quite like to make something herself with it, and she would like me to make something for her as well, but we haven't decided yet. She's just enjoying the fact that she's got a yarn named after her and dyed for her in her favourite colours. And then Christina included a little swatch of it when she sent it to show how it worked up. So Phoebe asked me to bind that off, which I did, and she's been carrying it around with her like a little short blankie. So she just loves it so much. Thank you, Christina, and your little boy. You absolutely made their day. And they put in loads of other stuff into their parcel as well. They put in a load of socks for Lilia and for Phoebe, which I can't show you because that's all they wear now. Those are the socks that they wear. And they always wear them to trampolining when they have to wear socks to bounce in, because Lilia, who's 11 and a half, gets lots of compliments on her socks. They've got all different landmarks on them. And they also sent us a few other bits from Arizona. So they sent us a postcard as well about where they live. The girls just think this is fabulous. They can't believe like how different the climate is and the fact that this has come from so far. So that's our postcard. And then we've got this little cactus. It's actually a fridge magnet, but I'm going to put it up as an ornament because we all just agree that we love it so much. We want it on the shelf where we can see it. And we haven't tried this yet, but we might try it later because we are absolutely intrigued. Cactus candy made with prickly pear cactus. That sounds so exciting. So we're going to try that. I'll put that with the Frutella for later. So yes, thank you very much, Christina, and your lovely little boy for doing that. And there is a little something winging its way to you, hopefully in time for Christmas. So watch the post. And someone else, right, so I was expecting this next parcel because we've been talking about it for some months. Me and Lily of Nordic Stitches podcast agreed to do an advent calendar swap. So it was Lily's idea, and never something that would have occurred to me, but what a good idea. So we agreed we would swap a certain weight of yarn on each day leading up to you know, we agreed what weights of yarn we would do, a little mini each day leading up to Christmas, with a little bit more on Sundays and on Christmas Day. So her advent calendar has arrived for me. Hers is being finished and will be in the post this week. And I won't show you it all, but this is what her little parcels look like. So they've all got little numbers on and they're all decorated. And I think she's made these pillow boxes herself. Ah, come on, camera. Yeah, so beautiful little pillow boxes. I've got lots of them. But she also sent me some other stuff. Her lovely mum, who we see often on Lily's podcast, had some yellow yarn that she bought too much of. And it's yellow, and it 55% cotton, 45% acrylic yarn. And she just had too much of it. And because it was yellow, she sent it to me. Lovely. And there's 3 balls of this. I'm going to have fun deciding what to make with that. So thank you, Lily's mum. And Lily sent me what she called one of her dodgy bags, but obviously it's not dodgy. I've got a little calendar. Traditional Norwegian trolls. And this is my dodgy bag, which isn't dodgy at all. Pretty. Thank you, Lily. Oh, and a little keyring with crochet hooks, emergency crochet hooks, because you never know when you might need to just crochet. And best of all, she sent me a shawl, an actual entire shawl, which I've left upstairs. So I'm going to have to stop and run upstairs again. Right, are we all still okay, by the way? Does anyone need to go to the toilet? Does anyone need a comfort break? Because we must be getting into quite a long podcast at this stage. Well done if you're still here with me. This is my shawl, and I believe the pattern for this shawl is the lovely leaf shawl. She does have a project page for it on her Ravelry. And I believe she's also made this with Arctic yarns as the main colour. This is a beautiful, it's kind of, Phoebe says it reminds her of the sea, of like light shining on the sea. And then I think the border is done in little French Meadow colour. So this is really special, and I have been wearing this every night since I got it. I've just been, I've had it on of an evening because it's just been so chilly. And it's just so soft and lovely, and it just, no one's ever knitted me a shawl before, so it's just really, really lovely to have something that's, you know, someone thinks you're worthy enough of an entire knitted shawl. I know the time and the effort that goes into it, especially with this wonderful detail on it. Let's see if I can show you it's got this leaf detail all along the border. So that's incredibly special. What a wonderful, wonderful present. So thank you very much, Lily. Yeah, as usual, I just feel very spoiled and not worthy. So thank you for that. I'm going to be popping that on again later. And I also, right, what else? Oh, yes. So, right, 2 things. So Barbara, I think most of us must know Barbara, who has the Knitting I Love podcast. She's such fun. I love her podcasts. They're so energetic and she's just so bubbly. She has a thing on her podcast where if she puts different podcasters' names into a jar every episode, and then every episode she pulls a podcaster out. And when I first started doing this podcast, very early on, Barbara put my name in the jar, which was just like, oh my God, someone's actually watching my podcast. And she's mentioned me. It was just so lovely. And she pulled my name out, and I got to choose a set of her Flower Power collection needle minders and other bits and bobs. So she sent me a lovely little postcard, and she said I could choose this one for me and one for a viewer. So I may put this into the Strictly giveaway, or I may hold it back because I'm not far off 2,000 subscribers. 2,000 of you are mad enough to sit here and watch me talking about yarny things. No, I'm just kidding. I'm very, very, very grateful for every one of you. But seriously, you are completely mad to want to sit here and listen to me ramble. But you know, you could win prizes for doing it. Every now and then there are giveaways that happen. So Barbara has sent me 2 of her Flower Power collection. You get a coaster, which is also a knitting needle gauge, and you get 2 of her pouches. So you get this one here is, you know, for DPNs, and this one here is for when you're working with magic loop. But she said you can also use it for minding crochet hooks, and someone else was using it as a bookmark. Who did I see that was using it as a bookmark? Can't remember. Anyway, they seem to be quite versatile, so I need to take them out of the packet and have a bit of a play with it. And she's also put in some, she does tags that you can sew onto your finished things. So there's a little one there. I've got some of these already as well, that I bought, and I've given some away before as well. They're really good. I'm going to sew one onto like my next finished hat, or maybe even my mittens. So I've got pink, and I've got light blue as well. And again, like I think in my mind I was wanting the blue and I'd give away the pink, but now they've arrived, I'm like, oh, maybe I want the pink and give away the blue. So again, I might just let whoever wins it decide for me. So that's something that I've got for a future giveaway, and something I've got for me as well. So thank you very much, Barbara. Oh, she also sent me some tea, so they can go into my little tea caddy. I'll put Barbara's name on so I know that it came from her. So when I drink the tea, I can think of the person who gifted it to me. And I also, during Vlogtober, I was very, very lucky that 2 people, and I'm not going to say who they were because I haven't asked their permission. I don't know if they want me to say, but 2 very, very lovely viewers of this podcast sent me patterns on Ravelry. They had a look at my favourites and sent me a pattern. So I had this saved, this one. This is a Vogue knitting pattern. It's a ballet neck tee. I've only printed it in black and white, so it's actually quite hard to see the design because really the colours show the design. Which is a Vogue knitting pattern, and it's a crochet top. And this was one of the contenders when I was trying to decide what to make for the back to school sweater cowl before I decided to make this. So yeah, so a very lovely viewer, thank you, you know who you are, sent me this pattern during Vlogtober. So that is going to be going into my pile of projects for the new year. I'm not going to talk about upcoming projects because I think I'll just stress myself out. I've got too much stuff I want to do. But that's going to be one of them. And then I've also printed out this one. Another lovely viewer of the podcast sent me a pattern. And when this one arrived, I was like, oh, how perfect. I think this is going to be my New Year's Day cast on, if I'm up to doing that on New Year's Day. New Year's cast on, let's say. And it is the Ragdoll's Favourite pattern by Hannah, of Hannah from Sheep's Alley. And it's a shawlette that she's designed, and you can use... You can make it with as many or as little colours as you want. So there's instructions for how to, you know, use lots of different minis, or you can use just 1 to 3 main colours for a more sort of harmonious shawl. Yeah, so another viewer gifted me that. So I was really lucky during Vlogtober to get those 2 really lovely patterns that I had kind of been eyeing up on Ravelry. So thank you to both of you for that. You know who you are, and I won't mention you just in case it's not okay. Okay, so I think that is everything for my incoming goods. And I've talked about the Strictly Sock Along, and I've shown you my Festiwool vlog, and I've told you I'm not talking about future projects. I think we might have made it to the end. I just wanted to do a very quick shout out about a very, very quick and brief sharing the love section, which is where I recommend podcasts that I've discovered. During Vlogtober, I watched Celeste's Vlogtober, and she is the Yarn to Table podcast, and I had heard of it I think, but I'd never watched. So I really enjoyed watching Celeste's Vlogtober. So if you didn't watch it, I would really recommend you go and catch up with her over there. It was a very atmospheric Vlogtober that she did, and as a result I've started watching her podcasts, which are really, really lovely as well. She makes some lovely things. So I'd really recommend Celeste. And also it was Kim Smith of Kim Smith Happy here on YouTube that kind of reached out and said hello, and you know, we're all doing, you know, I'm looking for knitty folk doing Vlogtober, so I was watching her vlogs over Vlogtober as well. So I'd really recommend you go and check her out as well. She owns a yarn shop in Bristol. Yeah, so they were both really interesting vlogs to watch. So if you want to catch up on some past Vlogtobers and maybe just spend a bit of time seeing how other crafty people are going about their daily lives, I would really recommend taking a look at those. And yeah, my goodness, I think I've finished. Now I've just got to go and make sense of this all in the editing software. I hope I haven't rambled too much. Oh, and I just want to show you this. This came with the latest edition of Simply Crochet magazine. It's a festive llama. I couldn't not show you that really. It's a festive llama. We will be making a festive llama before Christmas, even though there's loads of other stuff I should be making. I can't not make the festive llama from the Simply Crochet magazine. Thank you for joining me. I will be back in about 2 weeks' time when I'm going to film a Christmas episode. I don't know what's going to be special about it. It's just going to be me rambling, probably wearing a Santa hat. We'll call that the Christmas special. Thank you to one and all. If I've forgotten anything or I've forgotten to mention anyone or anything like that, I am supremely sorry. I'm just really, really rubbish at remembering things. I want to say thank you to everybody who commented and got involved and encouraged me in my Vlogtober series. I'm still working through all the comments on my final video backwards. I will reply to everyone. I will. And I just wanted to say a general thank you very much for all of your encouragement with that. I really enjoyed doing Vlogtober. I think it's time for me to stop talking. Take care, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.